Thank you for that very nice introduction, and thank you all for joining us today. In this session, as was mentioned, we will be talking everything crypto. And I know Mr. Mark Mobius just said that he doesn't talk about religion, aka crypto, but I think this is a very important conversation for us to have. So usually with sessions that I hold, I like to do a little survey with my audience when I can. So today, I wanted to ask everyone in the audience, who here has invested in cryptocurrencies? Raise of hands.
Can't really see anything.
Oh, wow, that's a good number.
It will be an easy audience then.
Yeah, you're going to understand everything that we're talking about today. So I think we can all agree, since we have a few crypto investors in the audience, that cryptocurrencies are definitely on a bull run as we speak, as Bitcoin climbs to uncharted heights. I think today it's at over $64,000, and there are a lot of expectations that it will reach $100,000 or $150,000. I don't know, Eric, what you think about that. We'll talk about it. So it's definitely on a bull run. But this is not the first bull run that cryptocurrencies have experienced. Let me take you back to 2020, around 2021, where it marked a historic bull run for Bitcoin, shattering the $20,000 barrier and reaching heights of over $64,000 at the time. And at the time as well, there was a startup that capitalized on that crypto boom and became the first unicorn out of Austria. And that startup, of course, now it's not a startup, but at the time was Bitpanda. And it's, of course, a trading platform serving over 4.5 million European users in over 30 countries. Of course, I have with me Eric, who is way better positioned to speak about this. Eric, my first question to you is, where do you see Bitpanda since then, since 2020 and 2021? How has it developed, and how has the cryptocurrency market developed in your view since then?
I would actually go a little bit more in the past, because we started 2014, actually 2013, but we incorporated 2014. And every year, the whole industry changed and matured a lot. And one of the first things, I think, 8-9 years ago, we already said we have to do it a little bit differently. And even there was no regulation, we kind of simulated that as if there would. So we take all the banking standard, because we were the bridge between, let's say, the customer, the end customer, and then trying to do crypto, and the banks, right? Because they need to do the payment processing. So in the end, kind of what is our regulators in all these countries today have been in the early times the banks. Because if you don't fulfill their standard for AML and KYC and everything, then you might get problems. So, and this is pretty much what happened to, I would say, all of our competitors at this time. None of them exist anymore. So regulation was always, we realized this is, if the whole industry gets bigger and more important in the world of finance, which apparently it did, then it will be something that will be highly regulated, and so rules need to apply. So this was one of our priorities at the beginning, and now finally it really paid off. So we have the most licenses in Europe, got the full Germany license, which is the hardest. So if you can make it there, then you can make it anywhere. Yeah, so I think it was the right decision to do it, not to do the Wild West strategy, where some, especially Asian exchanges, now face a lot of problems with.
Exactly, a lot are jailed.
Excuse me?
Some are jailed as well, Binance, FTX, all that.
Yeah, I mean, most of the companies that just went in tried to acquire a lot of or get a lot of customers without having a license, and just like grow as fast as you can, pretty much building a company on steroids, which is at the time today, especially after FTX, where the regulators got woken up and they said, like, okay, guys, we need to be more active. They are enforcing much more. So and we were prepared for this for a long time already. So yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk regulation, since you brought it up. I mean, the first thing that your team has told me is that you are the most regulated platform, and
it's a headache, yeah, but it's a headache.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the headache.
It's a headache USP, yeah. So
yeah.
Of course you can be faster with everything, but in the end, it is in the center right now of the financial world.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
But a lot of people, when discussing regulation in the cryptocurrency world, are saying this amazing technology was built on sort of democracy and, and I don't want to say open market, but how easily it was for people to get in and start exchanging these cryptocurrencies. Of course, this opened the doors for a lot of money laundering, a lot of fraud, and all of this stuff. So it's very interesting that you chose the strategy of going with regulation even before it was being started to be talked about. And right now, actually, the EU is getting ready to enforce its landmark crypto laws, which will be implemented in June. How do you think this law, especially Micah, when it gets implemented in June, is going to affect the crypto market and trading platforms? Will it make your lives easier?
For us, nothing changes. We are ready for this for a long time. So for us, this is, you can even go a year back or a year in advance. We've been ready for this all the time. So for us, it's no change. Many other companies will have to do a lot of, let's say, homework they haven't done before. Nonetheless, what is the good thing? Banks are opening up. So you have now a framework. It's pretty much MiFID 2 like for stocks, and it's kind of a copy-paste for crypto. So now all these banks, they see the demand from their end customers, but also from their corporate customers. And they now have a framework that, okay, now there's no gray zone anymore. This is how we can do it. And this is why, for example, our product, Bitpanda Technology Solution, BTS, is quite successful because we are now onboarding a lot of banks. Because you can pretty much white label our whole platform, and they can do a B2B2C model or custody, so whatever. So we have everything we've built over the past 10 years, and also our licenses, and we're now white labeling it to banks, so pretty much the infrastructure. And this is a big advantage of MiCA, because the big institutions can now enter the market. Even though they wanted to for a long time, but now they actually can.
And trusting the process as well, because I think that was the issue with big banks going into crypto and enforcing it in their own operations, was that there was not enough regulation to convince them that you should trust the process. And meanwhile, there was a lot of stories about fraud and all of this stuff. So do you think that helps?
There were two problems. One was they all realized when they looked at it that they can't build a competitive product for their customers on their own. If they would start today, they would need maybe 5 years to be what the market standard is today. It's off. It's not like stocks. It's not so standardized. So and if they would have these plug-and-play solutions, then they would have a product that was up to date 2019. So and this is why all the European banks are now. Let's say a lot of them onboarding with us right now, because you need to have a competitive product, otherwise your customers will not use it. And the other thing is then the regulatory safety.
Yeah, and recently actually you have collaborated with Raiffeisen, Austria's largest community banking group, to provide crypto services to its retail customers and help them build a secure financial future through various offerings, including stocks, commodities, and ETFs. In your view, does crypto have to be part of everyone's financial structure? And have banks or can banks play a central role in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't see that in finance in general, not just in crypto, but in finance in general, it's not a network effect like with Facebook or Google, that like a winner takes it all. The product gets better the more when everybody's using it. For finance, it's highly regulated. There's a lot of trust. They want to have the local approach, the national approach, and it's also because it's so highly nationally regulated. I think that finance will always be, or at least for a long time, a very, let's say, nationalized, regional product. So I don't think there will be this one bank, let's say, for example, in Europe, like 27 different countries, you don't have a bank that is available everywhere. Like each bank is only available in each country. There are a few new banks now that try to adopt to this a little bit and enter several markets at the same time. But normally it's the case. In France you have your banks, but they are not in Germany and vice versa. So yeah.
And how does Bitpanda help, and other companies like you, can help these banks break into that market and have customers trust that we can go through the banking system to have our crypto wallets and, you know, as we have our cash and our money at the bank, we can also have our cryptocurrencies.
Exactly. So they're using our infrastructure, and so we have now, 2 weeks ago, we have surpassed over 400 assets. So we have by far the most crypto coins in Europe. And so once they integrate with us, and you can do this, we have also done with N26. It's one of the biggest neobanks in Europe, and they have done it within 3 months or 4 months, fully integrated, and you can be very fast with this. And then you have full offering, like if you would be a crypto company for 10 years. Plus, you have the custody, you can do it yourself. It's very modular. You can have the full service, everything with us, or just like this bracket or this bracket. Yeah, it's tailor-made, I would say. So this is why they like it. Some like to try it out just for custody, just for corporate banking. Others want to do, like, for example, you mentioned Raiffeisen, to roll it out to all the customers, including stocks, because we're also offering stocks. Yeah, so, and the whole world of finance for me is much more about collaboration, because it's very fast-paced. Tech got into finance several years ago, and that means you can't do everything on your own, especially if you're a super big bank. You need longer for everything.
Yeah.
You don't have this time. Sometimes it's just like trying things out, work together. So there's a lot more cooperation with fintechs now, and these, let's say, modular plug-in solutions.
When do you think banks are going to reach a point where they are at the center of this market? You're saying now it's just starting. You have just, you know, collaborated with a few banks yourself.
Yeah.
When do you think that's going to happen, where they're going to be at the center of all of this? Are they ready for stuff like that?
So the sales cycles for our B2B product are pretty long, because banks need a lot of time. But once it's rolling, you know, then they're going with the strategy, and then they're full ahead. But I would say this year we have a lot of banks in the pipeline still, and for the next year, I think like in 1 year, next summer, I think there are much more banks already with the product live. So, and everything needs time. Everything needs time. It's also education. It's like their customer need to know about this. Completely. This is. I mean, if you look back 8 years ago, we had a different conversation. 5 years ago, we had a different conversation. Yeah, it also needs to get more into the center of society in general. And we heard before on the discussion that crypto is in very, very high demand, especially in countries where you might not have the certainty of a very stable currency. So yeah, and I personally also think that, for example, Bitcoin is a better store of value on the long run. Of course, there's a lot of volatility, but compared to gold. But yeah, this is a very individual thing, and I just like to.
So you would put more money in crypto than gold?
Yeah, for sure. But in general, I like to diversify everything. So I'm not an all-in guy. Diversification with your portfolio is the key to everything on the long run.
Obviously, you're based in Europe, and your discussions have been with the European banks, but the region here is vast, and a lot of people are getting into crypto as well. How do you see, the introduction to cryptocurrencies here, and do you think that it's going to be part as well of the official or traditional financial systems like banks?
Well,
is this a good place to?
So surprisingly, that's why I'm here today, right? I mean, because we're now opening an office here. We just hired a great team, very experienced people, and we're going for a license here. So it's kind of the announcement today that we're now going to UAE and starting from here. So our priority here is providing infrastructure, because we see especially the demand for banks and fintechs in the region, because I don't want to praise myself too much or ourselves too much, but I think we have by far the best infrastructure and figure out the whole regulatory game in Europe. So I think this would be the perfect market for us now to come here and to provide the right infrastructure.
How is the regulation in comparison? I'm sure you've looked into that, first thing, probably, since you are very pro-regulation. How is it in comparison with Europe, would you say?
So,
Or let me rephrase. What was the main attraction that made you want to, come and be based here in this region, in Dubai?
regulation is never an attraction. Right? so it is, but the regulatory stuff, we're really, really good at this. So I'm not afraid of any kind of country when it comes to this. But it's a fantastic market. It's a very great connection also to Europe. But you said before, compared to Europe, the regulation, that doesn't exist in Europe. Until Mika is there, every country does it in a different way. This is why I said before it's such a headache, because you have to approach every country in Europe individually.
Their systems,
Horrible. And here it's much better, because I think also they have the advantage that they waited a bit longer, but now it's much more business focused, or let's say business friendly approach. They here saw what was working in other countries and what not. And I think here they are less bureaucratic, hopefully, from what I've seen. But it can't be more bureaucratic than in Germany and Austria. So anyway, yeah. But no, we actually have high hopes, because this is the first destination we're expanding outside of Europe. So, yeah.
Sorry, I'm staying at the point of regulation, because it's the first time I see someone in this industry very, open to regulation and very pro. But some believe that over-regulation stifles innovation within the crypto industry, because one can argue that the significant surge of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies was based on a simple, democratized system reliant on blockchain technology, obviously. And when it comes to blockchain technology, some also argue that this is way safer than you putting your money in the bank and the bank security systems. What are your thoughts on that?
Depends on what your use case is, right, for crypto.
Because you're sort of merging the two, and I see that's where the power comes from.
I mean, every new technology that comes out will be used in very creative ways. But if this gets into like a mainstream thing, like it gets very big, it needs to have rules, everything. It's delusional to think that you can come up with something and then the government say like, oh, there's a whole system to circumvene our rule set. It's not going to happen. It will never happen. They will shut it down. But I don't think it's a bad thing to regulate this properly. You have then a financial system that is actually more a technology system, that you can do so many more things than with your normal, let's say, payment and currencies. You can have smart contracts and all these things. It's fantastic technology, but it needs to have rules. This is how the world works, right? It's just like, it's not like suddenly there comes a country exists where there's anarchy and nothing, like that also doesn't work. Every country has rules. So that's the financial system, and that's totally normal for me. And I think many people had quite some, let's say, illusionary or like fantasies of how this could theoretically work, but the works with rules, and so is the financial system, and so is cryptocurrency.
When you started in 2014, was it your main goal to reach global banking systems and be a part of that? You didn't imagine that this is where you would be. This is where one of your goals, I'm thinking.
Of course, the easiest thing could have been, we've always thought about it.
Yeah.
It was our plan from the beginning.
That's not the answer I want.
Obviously not. Because when you look back 10 years ago, for example, even longer, we were like in this industry for quite some time. It was, like 2013, 2012 or something, you could buy alpaca socks with Bitcoin. This was at the beginning, we built a web shop for Bitcoin. It wasn't even a platform. We didn't even have a wallet service. It evolved over time. It's also like, what is the demand? What do people want? How is the industry evolving? In which direction? You can't foresee that. It's impossible. So the biggest asset we always had was to be super flexible, to have a roadmap, but also still be flexible to adapt. Because speed is one of the biggest priorities in this industry.
We have a few seconds left, and there's a very important question that I couldn't get to at the beginning of the panel. Why did you name it Bitpanda? Why the panda?
Yeah, it's actually not so funny because it's actually a very German thing, how I would describe it. We had a horrible name at the beginning, it was Coinimal. I came up with this, so it was my bad. Nobody could spell it. Then there was one email from a person. He wrote Coinimal 3 times differently. And I said, that's it. You know,
Yeah, you're going to open
done,
a wave of...
So we also said, you know what, we wanted to be more digital and so maybe also include stocks later on. This was an idea at the beginning. So let's make it Bit. Bit is more digital, yeah? And then a word that everybody can spell.
Yeah.
Everybody can spell. And we looked at it for a week, and at the beginning, you know, we bootstrapped the company for the first 6 years, so we didn't have much money.
Oh.
So in the end, it was very German pragmatic. Find a domain that was for free. And then it was Bitpanda. So yeah, that's it.
And they're cute animals, which helps.
Yeah. Cost efficiency and yeah.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric DeMuth, co-founder and co-CEO of Bitpanda.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.